Pounders, we are live, and you can call this a double dose because we're back at it. We're going to draft some more teams, and I want to show you why we have DPJ as the thumbnail on this video. This is the player note I have on him on our draft guide here. DPJ played 11 of his games with Jacoby Brissett and finished as a wide receiver 40. He had more 20-yard gains than DK Metcalf. You're getting him at wide receiver 52. Just seems like an insane value. And it's not too difficult to stack him as well with the Deshaun Watson, who's really not going in a bad spot for his ADP. So let's pull up, yes, you guessed it, another big board. We will wait for a few people to get in the chat. Try to get some of the pounders in this draft. Last night we had 9 out of 12 spots, all pounders, and we've reached, well, we're in the 12 spot too. So we've reached on every single one of the receivers. Ben, what is up? First one in the live stream. No surprise there. An absolute legend. We'll wait for a few more people to get in here. See if anyone wants to jump into a big board draft. 200K up top, 50K to second. I like this structure. I think this is a really good structure for payouts. So the top 100 are getting a G, which is nice. 41% full. We've done about 47%. So we're slightly ahead, but we're going to see these ADPs change as the combine continues. I used all my funds, so I don't think I can get in this one. Was just watching the last stream. I'm going to follow along here now. Well, we have some more news today. The Raiders are not expected to make a push for Aaron Rodgers. They want to keep their draft picks. That came out today, and now that means a few things, right? If Aaron Rodgers is not going to Vegas, in my opinion, it's Green Bay or retiring. I think the Jets are going to really target Derek Carr, which means if Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, where do we put Christian Watson? Because right now he goes at 43. Let's pull up the rankings real quick. He's going after players like Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Debo, Chris Olave, DK. Like, if Aaron Rodgers is throwing him the ball all next year and he doesn't have to keep that same pace, the touchdowns aren't going to be that ridiculous, but he is going to be the wide receiver 1 on the team. You have to think he has to go in this range, right? So that's going to be interesting. I think there is a better chance now that Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Lee, my man, forgot to say, I love the draft guide. Was reading it last night. Yeah, we really put a lot of effort into it, and I wanted to make sure it was accessible for everybody. Obviously, we're a relatively new channel, so you got to earn that street cred, and the best way to do that is to give out free shit. Let's go. All right, let's jump into a draft here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're waiting on 3 people. You know, we have some stuff in that draft guide that it can benefit everyone. You can be an awesome drafter and still not know everything. Like, we absolutely dug into some statistics and we wrote it from scratch as well. And then we marked out our favorite picks in that range with the star, which I thought was a nice little added touch. Hey, Ben says, I was in a draft with you earlier today. What's your name on Underdog, my man? And you can add us on Twitter at Fantasy Dog Pound. Send me your email and I can link you the draft guide. Completely free. Free is for me. And streamer luck, we get the 1 spot. Rorschach. HJ Wigglesworth. Dude, he's 18 for 18 in the live streams. This dude's got to run out of entries at some point. Made it. I'm at the 103. Let's go. Josh TX, welcome to the live stream. Benny Boo 42. These names are fire. Absolutely flames. Well, I hope you guys join the pound. Grab the free draft guide. It's at no cost to you guys. We're going to have a Ben fight right here. We got Ben H versus Ben R. Rorschach with his goat horns on, flexing on everybody. Rorschach, if you are in the live stream, let us know what Battle Royale did you win? HJ Wigglesworth has the wildest teams. Yeah, we saw him draft one wide receiver in the first 9 rounds earlier today. I mean, if you want to pay the rake, like, that's cool with me. That's cool with me. Joseph 1 is in here. Leo, welcome, welcome. Also a pounder. Chuck Wood sounds familiar. Awesome. Josh decides to start with Jamar Chase in the 3 spot. I think that's nice. I think that's real nice. Travis Kelce at 6. Not my favorite. As you guys already know, I prefer the wide receivers ahead of Travis Kelce in these 20-round drafts. T. Jones on the clock. Curious, what is your guys' favorite draft position so far? Because I've really been enjoying like this 7 spot when I can get Tyreek Hill. It's also where we have our values already marked out in the guide. I can go out and reach on those players, and it doesn't seem like it's as big of a reach getting these middle spots as opposed to being draft pick number 1 or number 12. You sort of have to reach to get your guys. And you saw it in our stream yesterday on the first team. Every single one of our receivers from the 12 spot was after ADP. Well, we picked them before ADP, meaning it was a slight reach on each player. But you got to get your guys. We are doing another draft after this. Oleg. Yeah, I hate the back end. I like the middle. I completely agree. 9 through 12 sucks in the 3rd round. Well, let's see who we have in the draft guide for the end. So you're looking at, what are we looking at? 30, 33 to 36. I mean, you have to love Ramondre Stevenson. You have to love Mark Andrews based on ADP. Now, not as much in the 20-round drafts for the same reason as Kelce, because you can make up those points just going 3 tight ends, and some teams can go get away with 4. DeAndre Hopkins is interesting at receiver, and these 2 QBs, I think, are an extreme value. So I don't mind that range. There are uglier ranges. Tony Pollard's also interesting, right? Let me read you guys the write-up I have on Tony Pollard in the draft guide. And he finished RB7 last year in 2022. He played 16 games. He's now going as RB13. There's a little bit of unknown, right? But there's a lot of unknown with most of these players. Before the draft, before free agency, you got to think that they're going to bring him back. Wow. Get Devonta Smith here. What a gift. What a gift. What an absolute gift. But do I want to go wide receiver? Let me check the exposure on Breece Hall. I might have to do a little exposure even out pick here. Yeah. Just in case, we expect him to start slow with the knee injury. I own 2% Breece Hall, and I own a whole hell of a lot of DK. And this ADP is expensive for DK. I don't hate it, right? I'm going to have a lot of DK this year, but give me Tyler Lockett, who's going at pick 64, scored more points than DK last year, and in one less game. How broken is that ADP on Lockett? Best spot 12. You can start with elite receiver and QB. I joke. Now, the QBs you can already see, like, they're starting to get pushed back. Jalen Waddle is starting to creep his way ahead of the QBs. Amon-Ra St. Brown already has an ADP. You're going to see them start sliding back to the end of the second round. They're going to be worth more in the 18-round drafts where you only have to go 2 QBs if you get one of the top 5, 6 guys. And you should probably still be only going 2 here too, right? But it's going to give you more of an advantage when there's less rounds and people can't make up the points at QB just by going 3 with those extra rounds. So mistakes are also amplified from bad drafters in the 18-round drafts because if they start a Jalen Hurts at this 21 spot and they go 2 more QBs where they should have probably an extra receiver, it really amplifies the mistakes. So knowing how to draft in those is going to help. And this is all good practice. We're going to be going from drafting 20 rounds down to 18, and we're already going to be super sharp. So you see Andrews go at 32 to the Josh Allen, Austin Eckler squad. And here we go again. H.J. Wigglesworth refusing to pick wide receivers. It's the same exact story a few hours later. Same exact story. I feel like a big, probably teardrop off from Chubb, Etienne, Jacobs to Stevenson and Pollard. I don't know. I don't expect the Patriots to re-sign Damian Harris. You're going to see a very similar year from Stevenson. I actually think he's an insane value where he was unlucky with his touchdowns last year, caught almost 70 balls. No one talks about this. Almost 70 balls. He only had 6 touchdowns. So I think that is his floor. 6 touchdowns. He almost hit it the year before, his rookie year. He had 5. So look for that to increase, especially if they don't re-sign Damian Harris. Najee Harris is a target king. Christian Watson should probably be going a little earlier now that we know Aaron Rodgers is not going to Vegas. And there he goes. Basically at ADP right now is a steal. Drafting around news is so important. It gives you an edge, especially when the other players don't have that news yet. I do that a lot. And has anyone seen Zay Flowers' photo? The picture of him at 180, I think 183 or 185. NFL Twitter posted it. It's his combine shape, and he looks like an absolute freak. He put on like 8 to 10 pounds of muscle. I'm curious if it's going to affect his 40 time. But if it doesn't, oh my God, draft capital way up. Way up. He went from 170 to 183. Oh, 13 pounds. That Zay Flowers photo, I had the second picture. His chain is bigger too. Come on. Would they zoom in? You got to make the ice look big, you know? You got to just put it a little closer to the camera, especially when you're coming out of college. You don't yet have the big bucks. Nah, man, he's significantly. His chain looks bigger too. I'm picturing it. I don't see it. I don't see it. All right, we are in kind of a no man's land. I'm not going Justin Herbert here unless I have the pass catchers. I'm fine with just like double tapping Jerry Judy, DJ Moore. If DJ Moore can get a quarterback one time, I think we see a big season. Not really interested in a George Kittle here. Especially more is more unknown with the quarterback. Kirk, I'm not stoked about. And you guys can tell me if I'm just wrong about Kirk, but I don't see how adding a Calvin Ridley helps. I don't see it. You got analysts saying that Kirk should be going ahead of Ridley. He was okay last year. Like, he was okay. Everyone on that team had spikes, and it was a different player almost every week. But he wasn't dominant. He wasn't a dominant wide receiver one for that team. He did good. He had a good target share, but I think those numbers are going to come down when you add Calvin Ridley to that offense. My typical build will depend on QBs and tight ends. So if we don't get a top 3 tight end, we're probably going 3. And that's why I think the negative is about going Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert here is I still believe you need 3 tight ends. I don't have a favorite build. I really go into these drafts with all the different tools on my belt, and we try to make the best team based on value, and then our picks. Like, we go with our guys. Now, that being said, I don't have any four QB teams. I don't really dance too much with 4 tight end teams. So it's typically 2 or 3 at each. But I've been enjoying the 3 tight end build. So I guess you can call that typical. I've been doing a lot of 3 tight end teams. My first tight end off the board usually being like a Cole Kmet, going like a Conquo, and then getting someone late like a Hunter Henry or Jelani Woods. 8 receivers. I don't think I really have a single 7 receiver team. So 8 to 10 receivers, 5 to 7 running backs. If I really put off running back, I'll have to go 7. But all about balancing to each draft. Each draft is different. So it's tough question to answer. Each draft is different. Mr. Easter Bunny, thank you for the question. Slow draft. Ben, what happened? I thought you just said you were out of funds. Stop putting money in the account. Stop doing it. Says, I like Ridley and Kirk's ADP is too high. Thank you. Zay is about right and Ingram is too high. I think it depends. If they re-sign Ingram, I like Ingram. I think that's going to hurt Zay Jones. I think that makes him the 4th target, the 4th favorite target on the team. So Zay Jones at that ADP, I'm never picking him unless I have Trevor Lawrence. And I typically never have Trevor Lawrence due to his ADP right now. So I don't mind these top QBs like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts because of the rushing upside. I'm not going to have a lot of Mahomes. I just got him at 27 earlier today. So I have to pick him there. Not going to have a lot of Joe Burrow unless I have the double stack, but I strongly believe he should be a late 4th. Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson, probably the 2 best value QBs because you still only have to go 2 QBs with these guys. Justin Herbert, like, what's the difference? What's the extreme upside between a Joe Burrow and a Justin Herbert? If you're going to go a pocket passer, this is much better value in my opinion. Trevor Lawrence. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to have a lot of Herbert because I think the upside of a Lamar just going 10 picks earlier is so much more. He can break fantasy football with his legs. That being said, Justin Herbert, how does he get you to the winner's circle? First place on week 17. He's going to bring at least 1 or 2 of his pass catchers. So you do have to pair him because if you don't, and he spikes on week 17 and you're there with a naked Justin Herbert who is going to have 0 rushing touchdowns, someone will have the pass catchers out of those 470 teams. That team will automatically jump ahead of you for the most part. If he has that insane spike week, like 30, 35 points, which is what you're looking for. So that's why you want to pair those pocket passers. He does pair him with Keenan Allen. We'll see if he ends up a Charger. I think they should bring him back. I mean, it just seems like they've underperformed the last few years where the expectations are high. We got Josh TX in the live stream, so we can't give too much info here, but after his pick, yeah, Brandon Ayuk was going to be our main target here. I don't own much Joe Mixon, so I think this is a decent spot to pick him at 72 if he falls. Probably go like a Treylon Burks or Mike Evans. Mike Evans is gone. I think this is fine. I'll usually probably double tap receiver here if Mike Evans or Brandon Ayuk are on the board. Probably double tapping him with Treylon Burks, but we'll go Joe Mixon. We'll mix it up. Let's see the exposure to Joe Mixon. It's going to be extremely low. One team. But that was smart, right? Because his ADP has been falling. So I will get my shares later when I'm comfortable at the ADP I want to get them at. Sort of like Joe Burrow. His ADP is falling. I'll get those shares later. Out of these 150 drafts, we've done 68 or whatever, 69. His ADP is falling. So just be patient on those players and you can get them at a better price and make a better team with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and then getting Joe Burrow here while maybe getting a DK or a Travis Etienne. So I think that's important. Sort of know where their ADP is going to end up. I have 2 shares of Burrow with both Chase and Higgins. Same, but there are teams already that have that with a Burrow in the 4th round. The other, exactly, Vapor. You got it. It's unreal when he does fall that far, but it's what should be happening, right? So depending on the room, I've seen it happen a lot more in the sharper rooms, him falling to the 4th. Because the same thing as Justin Herbert, if you don't have those pass catchers for Cincy, how does Joe Burrow get you there? I get you can pair him late with Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst if they're both Bengals next year. But I'm not betting on that. So right now we are pretty heavy at wide receiver. It's looking strong, and this is sort of coming up in the dead zone. I do like Zay Flowers, but sort of the wide receiver dead zone. So this is where I start to like picking up my running backs, picking up QBs if I have correlation. Typically not tight ends. Have a sip of the H2O. And let's see who falls to us. Zay Flowers, Kadarius Toney at the 7-8 turn. I also like getting out of these drafts with at least one QB that has that rushing upside. I think that's also important. Especially if you don't have like a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow. Like realistically, if you have Cousins, Tua, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, you're going to want someone, Geno Smith, you're going to want someone with that rushing upside later. Even a Kyler, who's not expected to start the season, but you're expecting him to be playing for week 15, 16, 17. Those are the weeks that matter. That's where the money's at. And that would probably be, well, in my opinion, if you have Kyler without one of those top QBs, it probably has to be a 3 QB squad. I think Myers here is an insane value, whether he stays in New England or if he moves on. Because look at the range he's going in. It's a pretty ugly range. James Conner off the board, one of our favorite picks in this range at running back. Let's see what Josh does. Josh goes Kirk Cousins, snipes the stack from us. It's cool. So we're not going to go Tua. I do think he's a good value here for cash games, but if we don't have the pass catchers, I'm not interested. Kirk Cousins, he's not a player I would go unless I have players on Minnesota. Maybe Josh will pair him with like a KJ Osborne. Oh, he has Hawkinson at the bottom. Beautiful. Nice. It's a nice pick. We're going to go White here and probably Danny Dimesicles. I have White ranked above these QBs right now with the news that Lenny is going to be a free agent. And this is an O-line that was extremely hurt last year. They are a relatively strong O-line if they're all healthy. They should be at worst middle of the pack. So that is, I have White in front of these running backs here. Probably in front of Zach here, in front of Kamara. I like Connor better than these guys, so I have Connor a little bit down the board. But yeah, White at this ADP, it feels really good. It feels really good. About 50 balls out of the backfield. I'm curious what everyone's take on James Cook is. Like, obviously, he has the capabilities. He averaged over 5 yards per carry. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. But the way Buffalo runs its offense and the amount of rushing upside that Josh Allen has, he takes those rushing touchdowns away from the RBs at the goal line, even in the red zone on 5-yard plays. So I'm not as high on James Cook. I'm going to want some more shares of him by the end of this. But I think I would rather Rachaad White. I would rather James Conner. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts on that is. Herbert off the board. We'll see what happens with David Montgomery come free agency. Schultz off the board. If he stays in Dallas, this is a pretty damn good value. And he pairs it with Dak, which is nice. And CD. Really nice team. No running backs, but we'll see how he makes that up. We'll see how he makes that up. Probably needs 7 running backs, I would say. Yikes. Kareem Hunt off the board at 109. Definitely not one of our favorite picks. This is a perfect time to go A.J. Dillon. Yeah. I think that's the right pick for him. Jared Goff off the board to Joseph 1. He has Jameson Williams. It's a nice little double there with Justin Fields and Goff. You have your rushing upside. You have your floor guy and Jared Goff. Curious if Joseph decides to stop at 2 QBs here. Right. James Cook, Vapor says, I like around the 10th round, but if they bring someone else in, not interested. And that is part of the worry. Do you think that they'll just release Singletary and not bring anyone else in? Like, sure, the write-up on James Cook is, "Oh, he's expected to have a bigger role." Like, yeah, that's obvious. He was a rookie last year. I think people tend to overreact to news like that. Like, everyone already knew he was going to have a bigger role. That's why his ADP was within 100. Let's see how we're doing. We got Danny Dimes, Breece Hall, Joe Mixon, Rashad White, JJ, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Treylon Burks. Let's see what Josh does. If I had to guess, I would say he's going KJ Osborne for the correlation. He goes Russell Wilson. Interesting. We're going to reach up a little bit and get Wan'Dale Robinson for the correlation with Danny Dimes. And as promised, do we go Cole Kmet? Let me think this one out. When's our next pick? Our next pick is 144. We don't have any tight ends. Kind of leaning Kyler with this team. Get double rushing upside for week 15, 16, 17. I think that's interesting. We don't have any pass catchers. We could bring in like a Rondell Moore late. We could bring in a Trey McBride. So it does open up options late at tight end as well. And Danny Dimes should have the floor to keep this team going. If we didn't want to draft 3 QBs, I think we could get away with it. A lot of it will depend on Kyler Murray's health, and it's so far out away from the season right now. It's tough to know that information, but even if Kyler doesn't play the first few weeks, that would be fine with this team. I would just want Kyler Murray back before Daniel Jones's bye week, and right now that's difficult to say what it is. And also, you run the risk of them having the same bye week. So we might add a third QB at the very end of the draft. Pull up the board here. Let's pull up the big board. See what these teams are doing. Let's see what Joseph's got. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, Mike Willie, Jameson Williams, Tyler Lockett, Algier, James Cook, Khalil Herbert, Jared Goff, Cole Kmet. Ooh, that's beautiful. Cole Kmet falls right into his hands with the Justin Fields stack as his first tight end off the board. He's got Khalil Herbert as well for the correlation. It's a really nice team. Really nice draft so far. H.J. Wigglesworth, Austin Eckler, Josh Allen, Mark Andrews, Tony Pollard, Christian Kirk, Dalvin Cook, Quentin Johnston, Cortland Sutton, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs, Jamal Williams. So he's got these 3 rookie receivers. I feel like I always bash H.J. Wigglesworth's team, so I feel bad, but the rookie receivers tend to start slow, right? So you got to bring in some veterans to get those catches early in the season to make sure your lineup's not dead. Leo has Stephon Diggs, Kenneth Walker, Joe Burrow, Najee Harris, Terry McLaurin, George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Darren Waller, Brian Robinson, Joshua Palmer, and Elijah Mitchell. Running back, extremely strong group. Wide receiver, Diggs, Terry, George Pickens, Joshua Palmer. I like it so far. You definitely need to catch up. You have Joe Burrow at QB, Darren Waller at tight end. So it's a good team so far. It's going to depend on how you finish. Finish strong, my friend. Finish strong. Josh has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, TJ in the 4th round, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Addison, Kirk Cousins, Miles Sanders, Russell Wilson, and KJ Osborne. So he lets KJ Osborne slip right here, picks Russell Wilson instead, and still gets his man. So that was a nice move if you really wanted Russ there. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Let's see what we got here. Leo's coming up. Leo's got a 1.541 bill, so definitely need to catch up at receiver. We need to catch up at tight end. We're strong at wide receiver right now. We're real strong. Let's see who falls. Let's see who falls. Young off the board at 141 to Rorschach. Not sure if Rorschach is a pounder or not. But we are connected on the Twitter machine. Glue Eater goes Gerald Everett with Justin Herbert. I'm fine with that for the correlation. We're going to go Okonkwo. And I was thinking Rondell Moore for the correlation with Kyler. Now, in a vacuum, I would prefer Alec Pierce over Rondell Moore. But to get some correlation with Kyler, I think this is the right move. And I own a shit ton of Alec Pierce. It's a great value where he's going. He might be my most owned receiver. Let's peek. Alec Pierce is my second most owned receiver at 31%. Tyquan Thornton at 33%. And the pregnant wife is calling. And when the pregnant wife calls, you answer the phone. It'll be just a minute, fellas. I'll put the big board up for you so you can see it. All right. Good news. Baby isn't popping out just yet. It's going to say I'm going to have to make a coffee real quick if that happens. It's in the fridge. It's pre-made. Got to stay prepped. We got 30 days. But who knows? Could happen any second. Hodgins goes at 149, followed by Claypool at 150. You have to think what they gave up for Claypool last year, Chicago would get him involved. It's just like, do we give him the benefit of the doubt? When Mooney went down and they had Claypool, do we give him the benefit of the doubt that because he came on the team mid-season, he wasn't able to catch up with the playbook and get that connection with Justin Herbert? Or is this just a terrible ADP for Chase Claypool? I'm not selecting him unless I have Justin Herbert right now. It's that opinion could change in the offseason. Going to see really monitoring the practices and stuff, see how their connection is in the offseason during OTAs and such. If you ask Claypool himself, he is the number one receiver in the league. Damn. I think Chicago believed him too, because didn't they give up a first round or a second round pick for him? Like whatever they gave up, it was a first or a second round pick. Like that's It's a lot. But you have to respect at least they were trying to get some help for Justin Herbert there. You got to respect the effort. Curtis Samuel off the board at 155. Might be the most disrespected receiver in this 150 range. Curtis Samuel is going as wide receiver 73, and he finished as wide receiver 34 last year. 47 on a points per game basis, but still that would be 26 spots. I like him in best ball. I think he's a great best ball player. Has the opportunity to spike. Ben says Chicago gave up a 32nd overall. It's a first round pick at the end of the first for Chase Claypool. Gross. Do I keep saying Justin Herbert instead of Fields? Jeez. I need my coffee. Rashid Shaheed going at 161. That's a good pick. Wigglesworth, that is a good pick. I like the Sky Moore pick as well for this squad. Bring in a second-year cat. I would like to see him stop at QB, having Josh Allen and Derek Carr. We'll see what he does. And guys, if you haven't already and you're enjoying the live stream, drop a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you like best ball content and you want to get in some of these live drafts with us. Hit the bell for notifications. You'll know when we go live. And maybe you can draft the winner on the live stream. There's always second place. I think we're going to go a third QB late. It's going to depend on if our guy's there or not. We're on the clock. 167. Mostert's really not in the discussion for me. If I'm going to go any Miami running back, it's going to be the guy going last in ADP, which would be Jeff Wilson. I like Tyquan Thornton, but I don't think we can afford to go a wide receiver here. We're extremely strong at receiver. Let's get some correlation with Kyler, with Trey McBride. And I think we need a running back. I don't own any Devin Singletary, I don't think. I like Tank in this range. Yeah, let's go Tank. Get our first rookie running back coming in. I think we have a good amount of carries with these three. Obviously, if Breece Hall gets hurt, like this team's just out anyways, right? Ben always causing trouble in the chat. Always causing trouble. Rorschach says, I do not agree. And he goes Raheem Mostert at 172. ER7 says, I have a question on this big 4 tournaments. What is the price? A lot of fours. First, second, and third from the 12 people, and how many players advance to the tournament. Let me pull this up for you guys. Try to explain it the best I can. Out of these 12 teams right here, 3 of them, the top 3 scorers by the end of week 14, will move on to week 15. They will be repooled with 12 more teams. Out of those 12 teams, week 15, 2 move on to week 16. Then you get repooled into 10 teams, and only 1 moves on of those 10 to week 17. Week 17, that will remain 470 teams left. battling for 200K. If you make it through the first round, you finish in the top 3 out of these 12, you win $13. So the prizes really get big. You have to make it to that last round. And it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. I had 36 lineups for the Puppy 4, which isn't a lot. I didn't really dabble too much in tournaments last year. My biggest regret. Did a lot of cash games. 36 lineups, I moved 12 forward. 35 lineups, I moved 12 forward. And that was, I believe, top 2 teams. Out of those, I moved 4 to the next round. And then out of those, I moved 1 to the top. I think it was 258 teams. And we finished in like 111th or something. It's extremely difficult if you're just doing a few of these to make it into that last round. You need a lot of things to go your way. You could be the best drafter in the world, but if you get pooled with the team that just has that one player that no one else has and he spikes that week, like Pat Corain, who won the BBM 3 last year, was it? He had Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones ran for a 92-yard touchdown or something. He was the one player he needed to spike to get into his lineup to make him different, to move on. Like, I had one team with Ronald Jones last year. $5. It registered as 0% Ronald Jones because he's a bad running back. And he didn't do anything all year except for that 1 week. So just to put it into perspective, how crazy these tournaments are, you need stuff to go your way. All right, we're looking at running back. We're looking at tight end still. Allen Robinson off the board to the team that has Matty Ice. I agree. Robinson, I mean, due to his contract, you can pretty much guarantee he's going to have a role in this offense. Warren off the board. That's one of our running backs. Don't take the second one, please. All right. We're going Jeff Wilson here, and I'm looking at tight end. I don't know if Bellinger really excites me. But we have Danny Dimes. Do we just correlate the two? I think we do. We still have upside at tight end. It's going to be our third tight end. I just think that the Giants bring in a receiver this year that takes up 24% of the targets. I think they bring in like an X factor tight end this year. Not my favorite pick. I'd rather like a Hunter Henry late, Jelani Woods, Conklin, Kincaid even. But having the stack, we'll just go that way. ER7, the big board. The big board. I wonder if they're going to do another one of these right after this fills, like the bigger board. It's just too easy. It's like low-hanging fruit. 41.5% full, 112, almost 113,000 total entrants, and this will fill, obviously. Start time, September 7th. A good way to lock up $1,500. Oh, it's funny. But these are fun. It's worth it. Guys, today I upgraded the stream to 1080p. We bit the bullet. We said, hey, you guys are showing up. We're going to show you love. We're going to upgrade the stream. It should sound a little better on YouTube. It should look a little better. Unfortunately, you got to look at this. So maybe it didn't get better, but at least like the surrounding pixelates a little sharper. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I didn't even notice. It's like, well, I guess that was a waste of $240. Try to present a decent product to you guys. Appreciate you guys coming out. Chuck Wood goes his third tight end to bring in with Hill and Evan Ingram. I don't know. I think Juwan Johnson kind of lowers Hill's upside. Sean Payton no longer in New Orleans. It's going to be interesting to see how they use Hill. It is also funny how all last offseason, New Orleans was like, oh, yeah, like, we're not going to use Hill as a quarterback. He's going to mostly play the tight end position. In that first game, they literally put him in the Wildcat. I'm like, you mother. He was on track to have like an enormous year, and then he disappeared. He still ended up as like tight end 5, I want to say, last year, but it was off of like 2 big spike games, which in best ball, that is useful. You just need it to come in the playoffs. Interesting to see how they use him this upcoming season. How's everyone doing on their best ball drafts? Has anyone maxed them out in the chat yet? Auto drafted Mac Jones, he says. Oof. Tough. Mac Jones can be a decent cash game player, but like at 197. Leo's got Tyquan. He knows what he's doing. Leo knows what he's doing. I actually think Mac Jones works for this. You know, you have Joe Burrow. You have Mac Jones, who's going to provide you, an extremely low floor and maybe not the highest ceiling, but he can get you there with 15-point games. And CJ Stroud, as the rookies start off slow, you expect CJ Stroud to hopefully come through for this lineup. And a potential Henry pick coming up soon. All right, the running back room for us isn't looking as bad right now. We're still going to need. So if we go another running back, another QB, another receiver, I think we'll end up with a 3-6-8 team. And I'm comfortable with that with these receivers. Really good, strong at receiver. Running backs, I think we caught up. It's going to depend on Joe Mixon and Breece Hall. We'll see if Joe Mixon ends up a Bengal next year. But when they were asked about Joe Mixon, they're like, yeah, we don't know. So that's not really what you want to hear from the team. Zach Ertz goes at 209. Kevin, welcome to the live stream. He says, I would cut off my left nut to get T. Higgy in a Pats uniform. Oh my God. I don't know what that would do for his fantasy value. For a fan value, I would like that. I don't know if I'm giving up any nuts, though. Deshaun Watson equals DeGoat Tugson. Oh my God. Hot takes happening in the chat right now. Second. Here, strong off the board. I think he has value in this range. I think Zamir White has more potential value with Josh Jacobs moving on. So I'm never picking Pierre Strong if Zamir White is on the board right now with the current information we have. But Michael Carter could pretty much guarantee he has a role. I like Kenny McIntosh. I think he would fit really well in Cleveland if they decide to let go of Kareem Hunt, which we're not expecting them to re-sign Kareem Hunt at this point. Josh goes Brock Purdy, and there goes White, one pick before. That's all right. I think we go Ryan Tannehill here. We have Treylon Burks. We have the tight end. It makes a nice little double stack. We tie it up in a little bow. It looks cute. think this is what we're doing right here. I have a lot of deuce. I do have to lower my exposure at some point, and that point is right now. All right. Right now. 26% deuce. We gotta chill. But we have a lot of drafts left, so plenty of time to balance your exposures. It's always a good thing to look back at your exposures every 20 drafts and sort of see where you're at. Look at all the players that you have low exposure to, sort of see like which players you want more of and make a point to pick them. Kevin asks, who would you keep though? Full PPR, Olave in the 9th, Rashad White in the 12th, Deshaun Watson the 14th in a 1 QB league. Definitely not Deshaun Watson. Rashad enticing after Lenny cut. Full PPR, man. I guess it's going to depend where White's ADP is going to fall. When do you have to make that decision by? That's what I'm curious. Like, we don't know where White is going next year. We can sort of guess where Olave will be going. It's going to be high. Yeah. By Labor Day. Yeah. Is it a 2 receiver or 3 receiver league? 1 flex, 2 flex. But full PPR? Yeah. Like, I want to know who the QB is going to be in Tampa Bay. There's a lot of working parts there. They both have risks. So 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Okay. So it's basically a 3 wide receiver. That's interesting. Honestly, I don't think you can go wrong either way. Those are 2 beautiful values. Should try to get the team to make it a 2 keeper league. That's my advice. Yeah, that's super strong. I have Calvin Ridley in the last round in mine. Actually, I think it counts as a 14th rounder because he went undrafted. I think it's set to a standard 14th round. We're going to end this draft off with a receiver. Most likely going to be one of these rookies. Let's see who falls, though. So we have Breece Hall, Joe Mixon, Rashad White, Jeff Wilson as the returning RBs. We have 2. Joe Mixon, sort of some question marks. But if he can, like, pick 72 is a pretty good value. If he can land a good team. Jeff Wilson, just give me the later ADP of the 2 Miami running backs. He came into the system midway through the year, reunited with an old coach, and just was put right back into the system. Instantly had like 12 to 15 touches in that first game. So, and then we have our 2 upside running backs. We'll see how they test. We have the 40-yard dash for running backs happening on March 5th. The wide receivers, QBs, and tight ends on March 4th for the 40-yard dash. So look out for that. We'll be updating everyone with the results. Yeah, ER7 is also a grinder. I mean. Welcome to the pound. He's been in the lives before, too. Devontae Parker was going to be one of the receivers we were looking at for sure. Should have a sure role. The Patriots, they've released Myers, they've released Aguilar to free agency. I think Parker's pretty safe at the end of these drafts. Gus Edwards off the board, not going to be my favorite pick at running back. I'd rather take a risk at a pass-catching running back that's a rookie, maybe a like Eric Gray, even a Chase Edmonds I'd probably prefer over Gus Edwards, who just really has no pass-catching ability. There's not a lot of upside there, in my opinion. Chase Edmonds off the board. Latavius Murray off the board. I don't know what Latavius Murray does for this squad, though, Leo. I like the team overall, but I don't think Latavius Murray really helps you here. Only starting 2 running backs. He could have a role early when Javonte Williams is recovering from his knee injury. But we want players that can spike week 15, 16, 17. That's going to be some of those rookies. I like the team overall. Probably would have liked to seen a upside wide receiver here, rookie wide receiver. Man, I don't mind Cedric Tillman last pick, but it's funny because these boards are getting really picked off. Usually there'll be 5, 6, 7 picks that I get to choose from. We're definitely going Cedric Tillman here. Someone who had injuries in college, but if he can show up at the combine, he has the skill to do so and make an impact on the team if he can land the right gig. And he's a 20th round dart throw. Who cares? If he doesn't hit, it's not going to really affect our team. Kev says, as a Pats fan, who you want them to get at wide receiver 1? Do we still got Jonnu? That man is a lock under reception. Yeah. Jonnu Smith, I think, should have a bigger role this year with Bill O'Brien coming back as offensive coordinator. He liked a lot of those 2 tight end sets when he was in New England before. And we do have 2 relatively good tight ends. This is why I'm scooping up a lot of Henry. I would like to see Zay Flowers end up a Patriot. He's at BC right now, already a mass guy. Give me Zay Flowers. I don't think it's good for Zay Flowers fantasy football-wise. But we'll see. Patriots also don't really go wide receiver in the draft, and when they do, they miss. Let's do one more big board. Try to get some of you guys in the chat in this one. Some more of you. I think we had 3 pounders in the last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Waiting on one person. So it's going to be a relatively easy draft unless you guys were all waiting already. It's always a tougher draft when the pounders are in these, especially when half of you have my draft guide. Hey, pick 3. Let's go. Right next to H.J. Wigglesworth, who is now 19 for 19 on live stream drafts. Art the Fat Man, welcome. Joseph 1, welcome. We got a few pounders in here. Let me know if I didn't name you. Let me know what pick you're drafting at. I'm loving this 3 spot. Give me any of these 3 guys. I'm excited to be at the 3 spot. Finally, we're getting the variance going our way. The 3 spot is by far our least drafted from position so far. Yeah, re-sign N'Keal Harry. Disgusting. I don't want to talk about it. It's not good. It's not good. But I mean, how can you go wrong with a Hunter Henry in the 19th round? It just seems like a stupid value right now at tight end. Chase goes at 1. Punting. If his name's punting, we might see a Jonathan Taylor pick. All right. He's not punting yet. H.J. Wigglesworth insta picks Travis Kelce. I just can't. When you have to start 3 receivers and you have 20 rounds to make it up, I know I say it every time. These players are going to score more points. It's going to be more important to get one of these players at wide receiver because his next pick is at what? 27, 22, 21, 21. Now, these receivers have fell. Garrett Wilson used to be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown here at the start of this tournament. You could get him at 20. Not anymore. Waddle's moved up. Garrett Wilson most likely won't be there as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's go. Easter Bunny got in. He's pick 5 as Cam K 234, starting Cooper Kupp, he was on track to be wide receiver 1 last year before the Staffy injuries, before he got injured. We do have to monitor how he's doing with his ankle. Not a lot of information has come out about it. Bijan goes at 7. Wow. Big Bijan guy. Big Bijan guy. AJ Brown goes 12 with CeeDee Lamb. Beautiful start. Oh my God. I had this start the other day, and the team just came out like a super team. Congratulations. Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra. I'm loving that start as well. I'd like to see a Garrett Wilson here. We do have the news that Rodgers is most likely not going to be in Vegas next year. They want to keep their draft picks. Derrick Henry at 16. Interesting. He did catch more balls last year, which is really nice to see for his fantasy football value. 15 more passes. But also, like, Ryan Tannehill got hurt, so how many of those were just dump offs rather than set plays? I'd be interested to know that stat. Josh Allen goes at 17 to the Eckler team. So he passed on Allen to get Derrick Henry 5 picks early. It's interesting. Garrett Wilson goes, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, so this Travis Kelce team, their first receiver is going to be like a T. Higgins or a Devonta Smith, who are arguably wide receiver 2s on their team. I just don't like this range for those two. I'd rather go with DK here. I think we can get away with going Jalen Hurts. And maybe we have the RB1 this year and the QB1. I think that could be a strong start. Now our next, how many picks have to be a receiver? Probably our next 3 or 4 picks for this to work. We are going to hope one of these two guys fall to us. Wow. Mike Williams over DK. Mike Williams over Chris Olave. Wow. Yo, mind blown. Let's go DK here. There is less unknown with DK. Breece Hall goes at 28. Again, H.J. Wigglesworth hates receivers. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact at this point. I've seen it too many times. Refuses to pick receiver early. Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Chris Olave start. Oh, baby. Easter Bunny scooping. Oh, my God. Even this start's really strong as well. Hill, Garrett Wilson, Debo. Damn. Those are beautiful starts. Holy smokes. Let's see what the doctor does. Doctor goes D-Hop. Dr. D-Hop. Followed by Josh Jacobs at 33. Art goes Stevenson first running back. I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Stevenson's probably going a little too late, in my opinion. Nick Chubb's probably going a little too late, especially if Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson both don't return. You have to expect that they'll bring in a rookie still, but I like this start. You could have got Bijan later, but it's fine. If you're only doing a few drafts, you can go and get your guys. If you're doing 150 drafts, I recommend you get them at ADP or just before. Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson off the board. It's a really nice start from Art. It's a strong start from Joseph as well. Nothing new here. No surprises. No surprises. The pound is strong. This guy goes TJ Hawkinson. I don't know if that's the best spot to go tight end when you only have one receiver, but especially he's not going to pick until 57. DJ Moore, solid. Ooh. Kevin says he's got Stevenson as a top 5 fantasy back this year. Hot take. I mean, they're going to release Damian Harris, right? Free agent. They're not going to pay him. We don't pay running backs. So Stevenson should have at least same amount of carries. Look at this, 69 catches. 69. He only had 6 touchdowns. Super unlucky in the red zone. Damian Harris, most likely not going to be there this year. I think he's going at his floor, in my opinion. Pick 46. I wanted Watson. Sniped one pick before. Let's get Pittman here. Let's get Pittman. I have to go 2 receivers. I have to. These are coming off. The glasses are affecting the big brain. Justin Herbert goes at the 4-5 turn with Najee. I was thinking Najee. That would have been such a bad pick, though. I need 2 receivers. Godwin goes. We'll get some Drake London here. Not if you guys have my draft guide, which is free. All you have to do is subscribe to the pound. Hit me up on Twitter at FancyDogPound. It has player write-ups. My take on Drake London is extremely negative just based on run first offense. They ranked 31 out of 32 for least pass attempts in the league. Returning OC, I think they stay run heavy. What are your hopes for QBs in Atlanta, right? You have Desmond Ridder. Obviously not the hope. He's going after every single starting QB in the NFL. He's going after 3 San Fran QBs, and he's going after 4 or 5 rookies. So clearly we don't think Ridder is going to provide value to Drake London. Carson Wentz. Do you think Carson Wentz can get it done? Especially with Pitts back? I don't see it. Now in these tournament-style drafts, you can be really low on someone, but they can still have value with their potential to spike. Drake London has a potential to spike. There's no doubt in that. He's a great receiver. Oh, he commanded all these targets. They threw the ball 24 times a game. It's not hard to command a high percent of targets when it was only 6 targets. It's like he's averaging 10 targets a game. So he still has the potential to spike. And that's what intrigues me. Week 15, week 16, week 17 might be the piece I need. So I will not be at market share with him at 8.3%. I will be under that just due to my take and my belief. That doesn't mean we can't draft him sometimes. Let's see. Tyler Lockett goes off the board at 58. Art definitely read the draft guide. Tyler Lockett scored more points than DK Metcalf in 1 less game. Kyle Pitts off the board at 67. To the George Kittle team. I think you stop. If you select two early middle round tight ends, I think you stop. But if you just select one of these two and you wait, I think you still have to go 3. That's how I feel about it. But when you invest that much in tight end, ooh, he falls to us right in the pocket here. Streamer luck. Dallas Goedert, welcome aboard. Let's see what these two teams do. This guy's not punting yet. His name's punting. He should be forced to change his name. He should be doing crazy stuff. Deontay Johnson, not my favorite pick for this team. I feel like the team already has a really good floor. I would have liked to seen a Treylon Burks or a rookie. But that's okay. More for us. We will go that rookie. You know what I mean? What does a Deontay Johnson do for a team that has Treylon Burks, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, Devonta Smith, Justin Jefferson? You already have a really good floor with Chris Godwin, with JJ, with Christian Kirk, you can argue, has a good floor. I don't know. Not a fan. Not a fan in tournaments. What do we got going in the live chat? You guys are going nuts. What's Pickens' ADP? It's around 70, right? 70.8. Yeah. It's not the wrong fade. He had 1 week that turned him from tight end 16 to like tight end 4, that one spike week. So that's how these tight ends that go in the middle rounds, like it's not worth reaching for an Evan Ingram at this ADP unless you have Trevor Lawrence. You want to pair the two with him potentially re-signing. But other than that, the difference of an Evan Ingram and a Hunter Henry going at 220 might be like 1 point a game. It's not a big spread where it is at receiver, early receivers versus receivers that go late. I could read you the exact statistic because I have it on Njoku. David Njoku goes at pick 98 this year. And I like David Njoku. I think he has the chance to have a decent season with spike weeks, so he does have value. But he averaged 1 point or less more than Juwan Johnson, who goes 93 picks later. 1 point or less more than Tyler Higbee, Cole Kmet, Dawson Knox, Pat Freiermuth. So ADP matters to some extent if you're not correlating. All right. I know who I'm going here. Let's throw up a little diversion for the chat. Throw a little diversion up. Going Rachaad White. I think this is the perfect second running back to bring in, especially with Lenny expected to be released. Very balanced team so far. Got the strong QB, only have to go 2. Might only have to go 2 tight ends. We'll see who falls to us. The value might be at tight end, and we might pick 3. Gotta stay fluid. Gotta stay fluid. Stay loose. Stay loose. It depends. It depends. 3 tight ends is interesting for week 17. I don't own like any shares of Kamara, but if I were to own one, pick 99, I think would be it. Let's stick to our guns here. Let's go DPJ. Let's go DPJ. Full year under Deshaun Watson. Almost didn't get it in the queue. He was just underneath hiding. Full year under Deshaun Watson. I expect him to finish higher than he did last year, which was what, like wide receiver 40? Pull it up. Back to the draft guide. DPJ played 11 games under Jacoby Brissett, finished as wide receiver 40. He's now going as wide receiver 52. He had more 20-yard gains than DK Metcalf. Snapple facts. Snapple facts. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at FantasyDogPound, and I'll send that over to you guys. It took a while. And after I started it, like I wanted to get it done within a few days because these ADPs change so fast. So DPJs, I think that's a good pick for this squad as well. Someone that can spike. HJ goes Kamara. I don't blame him. Can't blame him there. Jalen Hyatt off the board with Pat Fryermuth. It's a solid looking squad from Joseph with the AJ Brown Lamb start. Oof. That's nasty. Art brings on Jared Goof with the Amon-Ra St. Brown pairing. Sitting at 4 receivers. 2 in the first 2 rounds, though. Strong at running back. Stevenson, Dalvin Cook, James Conner. Nice looking squad. Real nice so far. Yeah, I like the Tyler Lockett pick too. Along with these two. It's really nice. It's really nice. I haven't been selecting Kadarius Toney at his ADP. Just think he's going a little soon for the injury risk. Yeah, I mean, if he finished the season and didn't get hurt, but like Tyler Boyd off the board. Boyd off the board. I'm good with going either one of these. It'll probably be an exposure smooth out pick. Let's see. And he made it for us. LaFleur no longer in town. Elijah Moore, we saw that stint he had last year where they were like trying to cool things down. He requested a trade. The team's like, no, we're not trading you. He told the offensive coordinator to go fuck himself in practice. And then he told him that he sucks. So if you were wondering why it wasn't part of the game plan last year, that might have something to do with it. Maybe Zach Wilson contributed to that as well. But now LaFleur is out of town. I'm intrigued. We moved Garrett Wilson all the way up to like 17. Elijah Moore should be going before Zay Jones. That's for sure. David Monty is an interesting pick here. I think that's a good value on Monty. Just because he has a lot of unknowns as well. And he should be able to find a third down role somewhere, catching a lot of balls. Yeah. Let's bring in a Wandale Robinson here. We'll catch up at running back later. We'll put off running backs till later. You don't need running backs to win. Running backs are overrated. Tyler off the Boyd, Ben says. Facts. He has a decent QB2 because he provides upside week 15, 16, 17 if he returns. I'm taking him unless he falls 10 or 20 picks, though. Yeah, same. With Kadarius Toney, I've been getting him around pick 100, I feel like. My shares that I do have of him. Yeah. Accurate. Cole Kmet off the board. This is a better looking team from HJ. So if you're out there somewhere listening, good job. I'm seeing improvements. Nice. Now we're thinking. Now we're thinking, fellas. Big brain. Big brain. Tyler Boyd's also going in a pretty fair range, in my opinion, for being part of the offense he's on. Did show the capability to spike. Now he is, in my opinion, more of the cash game player, but what if? What if Cincy moves T. Higgins? Just what if? Or even if Hurst doesn't resign, right? You're going to have some open targets there. And Joe Mixon. If they move on from Joe Mixon, you could see some open targets there. Geno Smith, Romeo Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs. Alec Pierce going at 135 to Art the Sharp. New name. Art the Sharp. I 100% agree. He should be going before Isaiah Hodgins. It's the perfect range to select him. It really is. Now, Sky Moore, I know you reached up on Sky. 48. Go get your guys, Art. Go get your guys. I think that's 2 sharp picks back to back, to be honest. And this is why we're glad we selected those wide receivers, because people are reaching up above ADP and just absolutely sniping all those picks. And it's going to leave some value to us at running back, which is nice. I wouldn't even mind a Zeke here. I wouldn't mind a Dawson Knox, a Sean Tucker, a Gibson. Like, this is all in our wheelhouse right now. Sean Tucker off the board. I don't really have a preference either between these 2 running backs. Because we're getting Zeke so far after ADP, he would intrigue me. But if it was Antonio Gibson, it wouldn't break my heart. Let's go Zeke. I own a lot of Gibson. I think Jerry brings him back. What if they bring back Zeke and not Tony Pollard? Would every Dallas fan just go insane or what? Dobbs. I think Dobbs would have to be my least favorite of those. Nice. So we get both running backs at a nice little value here. We don't feel like we have to go tight end with Goddard paired with Jalen. So I think we have a good amount of carries now. We've really caught up there. Got both at a value as well. So we sort of let this draft fall to us, I think, pretty nicely. We had to reach up for TPJ. We had to reach up a little bit for Wandale. Nothing crazy. Oh, man. I don't know why, but Jerry Jones is attached to Zeke. Last year, before the season started, it was like, oh, yeah, Zeke is going to be a main part of our offense. And he was out there for 50% of the snaps on average. They split basically 50-50 last year. And in that time, Tony Pollard was able to finish like RB7. Was RB7. He only played 16 games. And he goes as RB13. So, I mean, they should return Tony Pollard. You would think they would return the guy that provided the most value to your team. That being said, Jerry does what Jerry wants. Hey, we got a new sub. Claps for you. Welcome to the pound. Appreciate it. Look at this. Shaheed going at 155. That ADP is dropping like a rock. It's the right spot, though. It is the right spot. So glad we got all our receivers that we wanted early. Otherwise, we would be pretty bare at receiver because people are reaching up and getting their guys. It's definitely a sharper draft room. You can tell when that happens. MVS off the board. Art gets Donta Foreman, who is intriguing. posted multiple 100-yard games last year. I think he had 4 or 5. One was a 2-touchdown game as well. So if they decide to go QB in the early round and they don't spend a large draft capital on running back, they could just keep Donta Foreman as their first and second down guy next year too. He's definitely a serviceable running back. Damian Harris off the board. Does Lenny have anything left in the tank? I don't know. I'm just going to go tank instead. I'm just going to go tank instead. No puns. No puns. We feel like we have enough floor guys with Zeke, with Gibson, with Rashad White should provide a nice floor. Tyquan Thornton's a nice pick, but we're strong at receiver. I'm looking at these two right now, really. What do we want here? I think we caught up at running back. I think we bring in our second QB, someone that has upside, someone we expect to test well at the combine as well. And we've seen his odds of being the first pick raised from 10,000 plus 10,000 to then plus 5,000 to plus 2,500. And now it's all the way to plus 750. So they're thinking, all right, this kid might actually have a chance to go number 1 overall. I don't think that happens, but we'll see. If he ends up in Indy, I think that'd be interesting with Michael Pittman here. And we might be setting something up for our next pick as well. Kendry is not already gone. He goes around 192. I just have so much Kendry, and I was getting him at 220 early just because I was able to do my research a little earlier and the ADPs hadn't changed yet. So I was scooping Kendry very early into this. Look at these receivers off the board. So now you have to reach, 16 picks for the next receiver? And it's almost worth it. I like Tim Patrick. You have 6 wide receivers. Or you could just go value. So yeah, I've been kind of shying away from Kendry Miller just because the ADP that I have him at right now is really good. So I'll just kind of wait until the combine. And what if he doesn't test well? Then he's going to move right back to the 200s. If he runs a 4.540, he's toast. He's done. So I have enough of him that I'm comfortable with, right? And there's going to be a lot of edges drafting around the combine because the ADPs are going to change. Kendry over Samaji. Interesting. Bellinger off the board. Sam Howell off the board. He got his 3 QBs. That looks good. Michael Mayer is tight end 1. Yee. All right. Take that risk. You do you. Jordan Love off the board. Samaji off the board. To the same team that has Joe Mixon. Maybe they end up in different spots, though. I have a lot of Trey McBride, and I don't hate it. Seven picks after ADP. Juwan Johnson off the board. Followed by Mac Jones and Noah Fant. Oh, Snipes Jelani Woods on us. Didn't see that coming. Damn. We were going to go for the Pittman Jelani Wood stack, potentially with Richardson moving to Indy. With that being said, I think we're going Jeff Wilson here. Nice little snipey snipe, double tight end. I just thought there was enough tight ends in between that we were safe, but 3 tight ends off the board, it's going to happen. Dip, duck, dive, dodge. Keaton Mitchell in the 20th is a good prospect, 100%. I think we're on around 11 or 12%. Let's see. 6 running backs here. Does this team need a 7th? I don't think it does. We're good at we're good at QB. Probably going one more tight end. So if we go one more tight end, we can do a running back and a receiver. Like our receiver room's pretty strong. DK Pittman, Drake London, Quentin Johnston, DPJ, Elijah Moore, Wandale Robinson. So one more receiver, one more tight end. And then I think it's just going to depend on value, who's left, who we think's going to be able to spike into our lineup based on who's on the board. Death, taxes, and Tim Patrick does not fall to your next pick. Yeah, no chance. It's all right. I have a lot of Tim Patrick. I haven't been drafting him as much on the live stream, I feel like. But I have 23% Tim Patrick. I mean, what's the risk in a guy that's going 180s, but his ADP is actually much later, right? ADP is 194. I mean, you got Sean Payton headed over to Denver now. That's a positive. There was trade rumors last season about trying to trade Jerry Jeudy. Now, he wasn't playing well. Some injury risk, but he ended the season strong. So I would not be surprised if they move him by before the NFL draft for draft picks. Sort of like a Marquise Brown situation last year. Wouldn't be super surprised. And then Tim Patrick would be, he'd be going down in this 140, 130 range, 135 range. Yeah. Tim Patrick's, he's a red zone threat too. 6'4", I think. 6'4", like 215. Clearly on the back end of his career, but can definitely be serviceable. And again, what's the risk? You're getting him in, the 17th round on average? All right. Let's bring in Terrace Marshall. And I'm hoping a tight end falls to me. That's a good start. Uh-oh. Oh, it's good. It's Albert O. Uh-oh. Oh, man. These dad jokes, let me say, they just come to me now. They just come to me. Wife's 8 months pregnant, and, things just start to change automatically. Like my finger, I'm taking pictures, and it just happens to creep right in front of the camera now. It's just natural. Absolute natural. All right, we're getting one of these too. Do I smooth out the exposures a little bit and shy away from my number 1 drafted tight end in Hunter Henry? Speak now or forever hold thy peace. I think you just got to go with your gut sometimes. You just got to go with your gut. And for me, if Myers doesn't return, if Aguilar doesn't return, Damian Harris, who was the touchdown guy in the red zone, doesn't return. I like Henry here. Now, I used to be able to get him in the 20th round. He was going undrafted before. In the 19th, I'm still on board. I am still on board. Now, does this team need a running back or a receiver? I think you start in 3 receivers. DK, Michael Pittman, Drake London, Quentin Johnston, DPJ, Elijah Moore, Wando Rowe. I think it still needs a receiver, to be honest. Only starting 2 running backs. Should be McCaffrey, 16 out of 17 weeks. No, 17 out of 18. Everything but the bye week. He should be a starter. Even if they're 10-point games, that's fine. Rashad White. So it's between these 5. I think the most upside play would be go receiver, and that's what I'm here for. Ben said he started late on Underdog. This is his first year. Congratulations. Isn't it just, it's the best part about fantasy football is drafting. And that's why we're here. That's why we're streaming. We're drafting. We're also passionate about teaching other people how to draft more effectively. So we hope everyone is learning a thing or two. I like to joke a lot, but I'm also like a deep thinker when it comes to my roster. How many receptions does this group have? How many touches does this group have? It's just constantly running through my head during these drafts. It's like trying to now teach thy flock. For a second, I thought that said G Davis. I'm like, Gabe Davis fell to 228. Wow. It's about time. Corey Davis is a fine pick. Probably not going to be returning to the Jets this year, but he can find a home somewhere. And he's like that deep threat. He's like an older Van Jefferson. Where did Van Jeffy go in this draft? 206. I like Van Jeffy in that range. I think that's a steal. Cedric Tillman, a little high upside wide receiver. Yikes. Appreciate it, Ben. Truly do. Truly do. Thank you. Damn, look at these wide receivers just melt off the board. 5 in a row. Nathaniel Dell's tape's really, really interesting. And I think he works perfect for your squad art. Mostly probably going to play in the slot in the NFL. Played a little bit on the outside in college as well, and he was effective. Juwan Jennings, haven't seen that pick, I don't think, yet. And, I mean, we have the Hunter Henry. Devontae Parker should just have a role. He should have a role in this offense. I'm also comfortable with like a Russell Gage, but I think we already have a good floor. Let's get someone that has a potential to spike. Devontae Parker did have a 2-touchdown game to end the year, but it was mostly an injury-riddled season. So, but yeah, that is going to wrap it up. Appreciate everyone coming back out. Second stream today, absolutely grinding. If you guys haven't already, dropped a like before you leave. If you guys keep showing up, so will we. And if you haven't already, hit the sub, hit the bell for notifications so you can draft on the live stream and draft the winner. Make sure you mark these drafts too. Mark it, live stream, draft with pound or whatever, so you know if that's the one that's on the live stream, so you can come back and watch it. And that would be super cool. So guys, again, thank you for coming out. Peace. Pounders.